All right, this is by far the wildest, most insane purchase that I have ever done, ever. And I didn't realize this was gonna happen until like a week ago, and I just sent it. So I can't wait to show you guys. All right, your girl just bought a Formula Drift Pro car, and not just any car. This is a 2JZ E46, and it is Jeff Donati's podium-winning Pro Spec car, and I'm so stoked.
We are flying in and dropping in here to a very hot and humid Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Some great driving. Third place here, round 3. Link Engine Manager Pro Spec Championship, Jeff Donati! Yeah, baby!
So I am very new to both E46s and the JZ life. So we're gonna do a full build breakdown and car walk around with Jeff to see my purchase and know what I purchased and learn more about it. So thank you for driving all the way here from Ohio.
Yep.
He literally, you came straight from the last round of Pro Spec home and then here?
Yep.
I'm very excited to officially welcome the vehicle to the Collete Racing family and go over it with you. So
Let's do it.
I feel like we should start in the front.
Yeah.
All right.
Pop the hood.
See, I'm not gonna even know all these things. I've never owned a JZ before, and my Japan car doesn't count because that's just stock everything. So 2JZ.
So it's a 2JZ. Something that's interesting is that it's a GE block and head. What's common is for people to use the GE block, but they'll put a GTE head on it. But I wanted to keep the whole GE package because they're readily available in junkyards and much cheaper, and they actually can perform just the same as a GTE for much less when you're already putting every aftermarket part they make for a JZ in it.
So people that don't know these things, like myself, before talking to Adam a week ago, so a GE is just the non-turbo version.
That's the non-turbo version that would come in IS300s in the United States, GS300s, any of the non-turbo JZs would be considered a GE.
So it's much cheaper to start with as a base and then build from there.
So I got this motor from a junkyard for 600 bucks. You might get a GTE from a junkyard for 6,000 bucks, but you're gonna put all the same parts in it.
Yep.
So that's why I went with this route.
Engine specs, this is pretty built from Duarte and Adam's reactions to us getting the overview at the last Formula Drift round. So can you run through the build specs high level?
Sure. So it's got, starting from the very bottom, it's got Real Street billet main caps. It's got Manley rods, with ARP 2000 bolts, which are the good strong bolts. It's got CP bullet pistons that are way overkill for this motor, but we wanted to be safe and make sure they lasted for a long time. And in the cylinder head, it's got GSC S1 cams, it's got GSC valves, Manley valve springs, shimless buckets, and it uses R35 GTR coil packs that I bought from Drift HQ. The main caps on JZs are cast, and with clutch kicks and the abuse we put these motors through, they can actually crack, and that's gonna be a bad day no matter what. Okay. So the billet main caps require a little bit more machine work, but it makes the motor capable of way more horsepower and most importantly, make it really reliable for a long time.
I think that's kind of the route a bunch of people are going now. Duarte has another one of a GE in the works right now. I think Grant is also. If you guys want to build an engine like this or spec one out, or if you're curious, just hit them up. All those specs he just said, that's sick.
Yeah, I mean, besides, like, there's really nothing more you could do to a JZ.
Cool.
I mean, all of the parts that you could upgrade have been upgraded. I mean, like, unless you're doing a billet block or like something really crazy, there's really not much to do. And the GE blocks are actually stronger than GTE blocks for a couple little reasons. But if you ever see like the drag racing guys making the most horsepower with a stock block, it's always going to be a GE.
Cool. And G35 1050?
Yep, G35 1050.
Garrett Motion, reppin', awesome.
Yep.
I love the plumbing. Like, first of all, can we just appreciate the engine bay? Like, that was another thing. Like, right when we popped the hood, I was like, dang, this guy cares. Because this is just beautiful.
The sleeving, I did all the lines. I do everything on the car besides fabrication and actually building the motors, because those are things that are art forms that people should do every day. But I built all the lines, added the sleeving. These are really nice BMRS lines for the wastegate, so they're super durable. They can withstand super high heat. All the lines around the turbo I rebuild every year just to be safe, because obviously turbos get really hot. But yeah, I just try to be really thoughtful, because obviously these cars need to be really high performance, but it's just as important that they're easy to work on. So if you have a car that's super high horsepower, but if something breaks, you can't fix it in 5 minutes or even, 30 minutes, it's pretty much useless. So I really wanted to make sure that the car was super easy to work on. Everything was laid out right. Nothing's near, super hot heat sources and stuff like that. Then the JZ makes it easy, because you get a cold side and a hot side. So you can put all your important stuff over there and all your hot stuff over here. So glad you like the engine bay. I put a lot of time and thought into it. I do all the wiring myself. It's a custom harness just for this chassis, this engine, nothing bought off the shelf, all custom made. So all the lengths are correct. Everything's routed right.
There's 2 PDMs.
Yep, 2
front
PDMs.
and rear, which is awesome. Is there enough outputs on it where you can almost use one as a spare, worst case scenario?
Yeah, there can be some failovers if you want. I mean, there's a ton of failovers. Like for the fuel pumps, it runs 3 fuel pumps, but it only ever needs 2 to run. So the PDMs can detect if there's a failure and automatically switch to that backup fuel pump without the driver ever knowing. So it can do cool stuff like that.
Shout out Vibrant.
Yep.
Got the best clamps. Wrap it in here.
Absolutely. Vibrant really helped out with this project.
Rear mount radiator, just sick. All that work is already done. Also, a big thing about thinking of even doing Pro Spec is getting the car on a link. So, and not just throwing the car on one. I mean, you gotta do testing, make sure everything's set up. Then there's more wiring if you're changing over other things as well. So the fact that this car is literally ready to go and podium proven. Good job, Jeff. Few podiums in this car. It's just a breath of relief, I guess, and knowing that this is basically ready to go. So.
Yep, ready to go. And, we've never had to work on it at the track. You just put tires on it, put gas in it. And
that's kind of crazy. You've already sold me the car, okay?
I mean,
you're already here. Relax.
So, obviously, reliability is super important, and that's something that I stress a lot. So I'm really proud to say that it's never had a mechanical failure, and I think that's a testament to the parts we use and the thought we put into it. So hopefully that continues with you. And
obviously, I was wowed by the engine bay. And then, as you mentioned, it's on a link, but you have ECU Master PDMs.
Everything but the ECU is ECU Master. So the dash, the PDMs, the GPS unit, all ECU Master. And it's really nice to be able to use their Data Master software to look at data logs and stuff, even from the link ECU. So super nice system.
This is the worst thing about it. Okay. It is not Collette spec yet. I cannot see anything. In fact, I see this giant 15-inch wheel, and that is all I can see. I can't even... I'm like, my head is probably looking at the bottom of the screen right now. But one interesting thing is you said that you centered the seat, which I didn't even know that was a thing. I guess BMWs, is it E36s as well? Yeah. That every E36, E46, you're not actually centered with the column. You're what? You're slightly left or right?
Left.
That's crazy. To be fair, I didn't really notice that in my E36, but I've only done like a few laps. So, and I was frustrated. Every single one of them.
We cut out the factory mount points and we welded in a nice strong steel base, and then we basically just shifted everything over. So it still uses factory seat brackets that you would buy. Well, not factory, but a seat bracket that you would use if you're putting a bucket seat in an OEM E46. So that's nice. So there's no custom parts there. But it's just everything is just shifted over like a few inches. And that helps for a lot of reasons. Obviously, there's some safety aspects as well, get you farther away from the door, all that stuff. But yeah, when I first sat in the car with the stock seat mounting, I was like doing this, and we're like, that's not gonna fly. So quickly whipped up those brackets, made it nice and centered, and didn't have any issues after that. Uses the Chase Bays brake booster delete kit for the brakes, which is totally legal. And the clutch pedal, this is actually a Formula Drift requirement because in these cars, the factory pedal is plastic. So you can imagine kicking the clutch, there could be some issues there with reliability. So
you are allowed to upgrade it?
Yeah.
I thought you had to keep the plastic one. Or
you have to use the billet one.
Oh, perfect.
You're not allowed to use the plastic one. So
sweet.
Billet one in there, super strong, never going to break. And the only pedal that doesn't have to remain stock is the gas pedal because we use a drive-by-wire. So that's actually a Chevrolet pedal.
Tunnel. What's going on with the tunnel here? Is this just a normal like reinforcement or what? A panel on the top?
Yeah, so the nice thing about E46s is that they have a huge transmission tunnel from the factory. So the top is bumped out just a little bit because the transmissions we use, which are G-Force GSRs, are top shift. So that top panel can come off. I've never taken it off, but I'd rather have access and never need it than need access and not have it. So
and this has to add some like strength.
Yeah,
to it.
Adds a little bit of strength, makes it a little bit easier to get the transmission up in there, but car's super easy to work on either way.
Speaking of transmission, has the best transmission out there. G-Force, GSR, the best. Have them in all of my pro cars. The only thing that to me is not the best is this pull-up light.
Pull-up handbrake.
I know you said you loved it and you didn't think you would love it. I just don't think I could ever. I don't think I could do it. I'm also like way shorter, and how close I have to be, I don't know. I just don't think I'd have the leverage. So that is one thing we're going to be changing immediately. But
driver preference, I can't blame you.
Duarte loves it. I love the accessibility to access for ECU, CAN, everything, data logging. It's right there. You're not going under the dash upside down trying to find where to plug into. So that is very nice, very pro. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we missed in here. Oh, you said the cage is from our boy at Cage Kits?
Yep. Cage Kits cage. Fits amazing. Yeah. Didn't make any modifications, just bought it and stuck it in there.
You have the cool suit in the back, and it's offset to the fuel cell and the battery.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that the weight was balanced left to right as much as we could. So putting the fuel cell and the nitrous bottle and the battery over there, and then the cool shirt is somewhat heavy, so
plus driver.
Yeah, plus driver.
Yeah.
So it helps balance it a little bit. Obviously, you've got like turbo stuff on the right side in the engine bay. Just trying to be mindful, not super nitpicky about it, but just trying to be mindful of not stacking too much weight on one side or the other.
Yeah.
The thing we were focused on more is actually getting the weight closer to the center of the car and low, because I used to drive cars where all the weight was way far back. You might have seen like S chassis with two big batteries hanging off the back or something like that. And that creates this like pendulum effect that I think is really hard to drive. So we really wanted to make sure stuff was closer to like the center of the car and low, which is why we put the fuel cell there and the nitrous bottle there and all that stuff.
And there's a conversion on this all around, 5x114.
5x114.
I am so happy about. That's why I bought the car, honestly. I can use all my wheels and not have to deal with 5x120 life. I did that to the Corvette. I'm like, well, I didn't even do a full conversion. I just used the adapters for it all. But this is sick.
Yeah, and they are the best studs you can buy. Awesome. They are like aerospace grade, better than ARP, the gnarliest things out there. So I didn't want to have any issues with breaking studs. I'm sure you guys have seen videos of wheels going flying in Formula Drift, so didn't want to be a part of that crowd. So made the jump to 5x114, and while we were there, converted everything to super nice studs.
And inline. We always just driven inline?
It was dual caliper. The way I see stuff is like, if RTR is doing it, it's probably good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've had a lot of cars that were inline. My Pro-Am car was inline and I had no issues. The Pro spec car that I had before went the other route, but I think it causes a lot more headaches than it's worth because you got more weight, unsprung weight, you've got more lines to route, you've got double everything in terms of rear brakes. So there's a lot of complexity there. And this grabs really good. Like you could probably pull it up with one finger and lock them up. And you have no issues getting on the foot brake. I know there's some talk out there.
I was going to
about
ask how that
foot brake,
was.
handbrake, but like even in Atlanta, when you're flying down that hill and you come in on the handbrake and you're foot braking to slow down, no issues.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love it. So simplicity is like my thing. I like stuff to be super simple because that makes it most likely more reliable and easier to work on at the same time. So that's kind of my overall philosophy.
I'm excited to test her out. Suspension says BC Racing, but everything is Chelsea DeNova spec.
Yeah, the boy Chelsea hooked it up with the custom specs. It's got ER coilovers front and rear. It's got a divorced rear setup similar to what Adam runs and Chelsea runs. It's been great for us. So really easy to work on, super reliable. I mean, I've been with BC for a long time. They've always, done me well. So.
And part of this deal was track setup notes for all the pro spec tracks. Like, do you know how big of a deal that is? Like, that's the biggest thing I'm worried about in a year one of anything. It's just you're spending a whole year just learning tracks and layouts, and especially in FD pro spec tracks, it's not stuff that you normally drive. It's super high speed or just a little weird, and it takes a whole year of just learning, and being able to have setup notes for that, like right out the gate, is so huge. So I'm very, very appreciative of that, and just how organized you are in general with everything. Even like the spares, you're talking about how the corners are like assembled already, basically like ready to go if something were to happen. Like everything's been thought through for a pro spec program, and I really appreciate that. So.
Absolutely, yeah. It takes so much money and effort to get there. I figure you got to do everything you possibly can to be successful at the events. So I love the attention to detail. That's something I really enjoyed about it, and hopefully it'll serve you well.
Well, I appreciate it. So in the rear, quick change, Winters.
Yep.
The classic.
The classic, it's the 1,000 horsepower version. I don't know if somebody's ever broken one, according to Rick at RTS, but...
Wait, there's a 1,000 horsepower? There's versions?
Yep. So this car used to have an 800 horsepower version, and then Rick reached out to me and said, hey, I really want you to be on the 1,000 horsepower. So he hooked it up.
Is it just treated?
So it's bigger stub shafts, I believe. So where the axles will bolt to, those are beefier. It's like 35 spline. And just you can tell the flange where you like bolt the axles to is like way beefier. And then I think the other part is the shaft that runs through the bottom of the diff, because these diffs are kind of like complicated compared to a normal diff, but there's basically a long shaft that runs through the bottom, and that's what breaks because it's such a long distance and that torque. So they upgrade that. But yeah, this is the beefiest one you can buy.
A drive shaft shop?
Drive shaft shop, axles.
Axles, drive shaft?
Drive shaft is from a local shop that I've been going to for years that makes carbon drive shafts.
Custom sway bar, you said, for the rear.
Yeah.
And then stock one is in the front?
PBM in the front.
PBM in the front,
so
okay.
Pretty similar to the stock rates. The rear, we just went with the aftermarket custom bar because there's just no place to bolt the stock bar anymore with the Winters.
Yeah.
And that's a really valuable tuning tool, so it's important to us to have that, but its rate is very similar to what a stock E46 would be.
Well, I'm so pumped. I am so excited for this. I'm also a little nervous because I've never driven this much car. It's a whole lot of car. So I'm gonna have to figure it out really fast. But is there anything else I should know? Any general words of advice or parting words for your
I think you're going to
46?
love it. I put my heart and soul into this car, and, it's done me really well, and it's helped me accomplish my dreams in Formula Drift, and I'm super excited that it's going to somebody that's going to really take care of it and drive it how it's meant to be driven, and hopefully you can get on the podium just like I did.
That's the goal, man. Well, I appreciate it, and I'm excited to experience E46 things and 2JZ things for the first time. So So we are already officially going to start making the E46 more Collette spec, and the first thing that we gotta do is make it so I don't look like a 7-year-old sitting in their dad's car and making vroom vroom noises. First thing we're gonna do is throw in my bride girl seat. That seat is naturally just really tiny and has padding underneath it. That'll get me up. Probably also gonna add a slider on there to get me up as well. And then we're using the brackets from the Corvette that can go super high so I can actually see something. Another thing we're doing, we're gonna change this pull up to pull back. So I got this IRP reverse mount hydro from Drift HQ. I've actually never seen this one until I was in Drift HQ looking at all the different hydro options, and I love it. It is very minimal and clean, and it has this little bend here that we might end up like really needing depending on where we put it. These are hard lines, so it's gonna be like slightly more difficult, even though this is nicer. Temporarily, because we are testing tomorrow, we might just put soft lines in to make this go a little faster. So that is one thing. And then I might also need to put on my GSR G-Force shifter onto this one, depending on where my seating is. Because when I am actually all the way forward and all the way up, sometimes, depending if the shifter is like angled back, when I'm shifting into second, my elbow gets stuck by the seat and it makes it really hard to shift. So shifter, hydro, seat, and new steering wheel. And then hopefully I can not look like a 7-year-old kid. A little close, but...
Is it too far forward though?
Oh, wait, is it in first? What's first? Yeah.
Just don't hit me, but
Yeah.
crap.
Imagine. Oops. Just shift, open palm. We're max height right now. Pre-slider max height. Okay. Okay. So far, so good.
It's a lot better than what it was.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I can actually see you over the door now.
Yeah.
What's the pedals like?
I need to be probably like a few inches more. Oh yeah. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
So I'll make you closer, which I can do that.
Height is good though.
Height's
I mean,
good, though.
slider won't hurt, but.
Isn't setting
Yeah.
up forward.
Okay, yay! First attempt. This is way closer than it would usually be in any other car, so I'm pumped. We're halfway there. And the shifter isn't that bad, but when I'm actually forward to reach the pedals, that's when sometimes this shifter ends up being too close. But we got options, so
How's that handbrake?
it's very good.
I know you're warming up to it.
Is it behind you at this?
I don't know. I don't think I'm... So look, I think I want to be a pull-up girl. I think it's like, it's dope. You don't see my hand on the thing like a dork like everywhere, but...
Here's your chance.
Okay, but going into a bank, and like doing OSW, like and now having to reach down there, you know I'm going to reach up here.
You pull the handbrake on the bank, you know?
Yeah,
You just clutch. Yeah, just you slang that thing up in there and hit the brake, you know?
Yeah. Set it there and stomp.
There's just so much. Next video, I'm going to be testing this car and driving it for the very first time. And it will be driving an E46 for the very first time, so hopefully I like it. We're kind of all in at this point. But also need to figure out bank things in a new chassis, and I have like 4 hours to figure it out. And we also have to figure out setup and what tire compound we're using. And the next Pro-Am is next week, so... Yeah, I think just adding pull-up hydro to the list of having to figure things out, I don't know. I think my brain might break and be overwhelmed. But I wish I was a pull-up girl. I really do. I think it's way more like badass looking. We'll see. We'll see if we run out of time. All right, second attempt. We got some FDF floor panels in there in stock at Drift HQ.
I Drift HQ.
Went and picked those up real quick, and then now we have it max up still with a slider, so it's like ½ inch at least with slider.
Yeah,
Maybe an
probably
inch.
a ½ inch to an inch taller, and then you can go way more forward now.
Okay, let's do this. I think this is it. Oh, and we stole Duarte's flat wheel. Shout out Duarte. Let's see.
Duarte don't know yet, but we still.
He doesn't know yet. Okay. Oh, and it's tracking. Isn't that sick? Look. It's tracking. If I go here.
Coffee takes that guy.
Yo, what's
Yeah,
up?
because it's fucking so easy.
So is this?
So play with that and then go forward. You gotta go way down here. I mean, maybe
I think we get rid of the lean.
get rid of the link.
I think, and then I think we're perfect. Oh, what was that? What was that?
Just clicking it in place, you know.
Oh. Okay.
I can quickly get rid of it.
Yeah, I think the lean is just too much for. Even bringing the wheel forward though, I think I would feel more normal up there. We're close. Okay. Third attempt. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, I definitely like this position better. Let's see. Ding. Ooh. Okay.
And you know you can play. I don't know what your telescopic is like right now. You know.
Yo, this is it.
That's it. Feel really
Slow
comfy.
clap for Donnie. Good job, Donnie.
Correct.
Imagine though if I was like gangster enough to do pull up. Imagine. I'm not though. No. That already looks so much better. Bajillion times better. Though, that's what it needed. Yes.
Needs a lot more than just this. Space
Hey.
in the rear.
Hey.
Big need. Comment below.
I need that side, yo.
Big space on there.
Thank you, Vinyl Man. Yeah.
The vinyl man comes through.
Yeah.
Adam was just in here. Well, get me the wrap.
I know.
Because I had to look at the Corvette with the piece that needed to be wrapped black for the entire ownership.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Adam was just in here eating, talking crap about how it needed to be blacked out and trimmed. Now we put him to work. Alright, it's the next day. I forgot to close out yesterday's video, and I'm sitting in my new Formula Drift Pro car. And this is kind of crazy. Like, I definitely did not expect last week to go look at this car in Utah, much less have it be here a week later. But it made so much sense. Jeff has taken such good care of it. There's been so much thought and purposeful, mindful things like put into this entire build, the spares, the data that the car comes with. it's hard to put a price on that. And although this is the craziest, most wild purchase of my entire life, with anything that I might want to do in the future, this was the move. I'm just super stoked and grateful that it all worked out. And in the next video, I'm going to be driving an E46 for the first time, and also driving a car of this caliber and this power for the very first time. Wish me luck. I'm still pinching myself and can't believe that this is real, but yeah, comment below. Let me know what you think about the new whip. I'm officially fully fitted to this thing. Like, I absolutely love this hydro, the positioning of it. We got my shifter from my G-Force GSR in here that just slightly puts it a little forward. Got my wheel in here. I'm actually like up high enough, and your girl's ready to rip. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.